So the team dynamic at Ferrari, it seems all friendly right now between Charles Leclerc and Sir Lewis Hamilton, but it's going to be a very interesting battle between these two throughout this season. You could argue Ferrari are definitely one of the favourites for the championship this season, both in the drivers and the constructors as well. For me, they ended 2024 on a very high note, to be honest. I would argue that they were definitely up there with McLaren in terms of the overall pace of the car. A lot can happen between the end of the last season and the start of this season, of course, but you know, I would definitely I'd say they're very good. And you know, honestly, you look at the driver lineup, I mean, they've got two very excellent drivers. They really do in the form of Leclerc, who's been there since he was a kid, basically, in Ferrari colours, and Hamilton, who's fulfilling his dream, really, of driving for Ferrari this year after so long in Formula 1. I'm really excited to see it. I've not really stood on a ceremony when it came to that. I've told you my thoughts about it. I'm very excited to see it, and I think the whole of the UK, all people who are at least even a kind of casual Hamilton fan, you know, would be very excited to see what is going to happen here, and of course the Ferrari fans too. But who's going to have the upper hand? Well, let's have a look at this article here, guys, because some people have weighed in on this debate, and of course the man who beat Lewis Hamilton in equal machinery, Nico Rosberg, is one of the people who has weighed in on this and given his thoughts, because of course he did drive against Hamilton for a very long time, and he drove with him for a pretty long time as well at Mercedes-Benz. So let's have a look at what's gone on here, guys. Full article on the F1Chronicle.com as always. Nico Rosberg believes his former Mercedes teammate Lewis Hamilton's inner fire may be lit up by his move to Ferrari. When they were paired together at Mercedes, they won every single Drivers' Championship, 3 for Hamilton and 1 in 2016 for Nico Rosberg. In total, the 40-year-old's title tally now stands at 7, a joint record, of course. Lewis Hamilton doesn't have to prove anything to anyone, Rosberg, who's 39 years of age now, told Italy's La Gazzetta dello Sport, and yet he has looked for a new way to push the boundaries, his new start at Ferrari. I know that he is filled with a deep love of motorsport and a burning desire to explore himself anew, the German added. While Hamilton's move to Ferrari has attracted a near unprecedented global interest, there is also detractors predicting that Charles Leclerc will quickly get the upper hand. However, Rosberg says the British driver cannot be underestimated. A change of scenery like he is having now can rekindle the inner fire in a racing driver, he said. Lewis is already a legend. I think that if he takes such a big risk at this stage of his career, it says everything about his hunger for success. Lewis will grow with this task and develop further as a racing driver and as a person. La Gazzetta says that Ferrari boss Frederick Vasseur is determined that Hamilton and Leclerc will start the 2025 season as equal number ones, with a potential hierarchy to then be established as the season progresses. Rosberg explained, I see Max Verstappen as above all the other drivers. Perhaps the best of the young generation is George Russell, but Charles is similarly at a high level. Lewis, on the other hand, struggled quite a bit in 2024, and you could see the impression that he didn't know exactly why that was. If we start on that basis, then Charles will beat Hamilton, just as George beat Lewis. But be careful, Rosberg warned. Hamilton is the greatest of all time, and I trust him to be able to return to his usual level. Then it could easily end up with him being slightly ahead of Leclerc at the end of the year. That is the thing. I mean, this can obviously progress as the year goes on. You know, Hamilton very much could take time still to get used to the car. Of course, I know he's done some testing, but that's with 2023 car. In this 2025 car, you know, it will be similar to the 24 car, which I don't think he would have drove in any kind of testing session because that's too recent still. So like I've said many times, I'm really looking forward to it. I really am. I think Rosberg's kind of right in his assessment. It's very difficult to predict because the cynics will say, well, Hamilton got beat by George Russell in 2 out of 3 seasons. He's washed. He's not what he used to be. But how good is George Russell? And also on top of that as well, this is potentially a Hamilton that does not or did not suit the Mercedes cars. You could argue that he didn't suit the Mercedes cars ever since the 2022 regulation change. Indeed, he went 2 seasons in a row without winning anything, which was unheard of for him. He won a race in every single season before that and only managed to win a couple races in 2024. By his standards, that's extremely low. But is it because of the car? Is it because of the driver? Has he lost a yard of pace, to use a footballing expression? I would say that he's still got it, to be honest. I really do think that. And I think that he knows that deep down. And I think if he didn't know that he still had it or was questioning it, seriously questioning it. I mean, yeah, he's questioned it at times during this season just gone, of course, but at the same time, I would say that deep down he knows. A lot of emotion was, I think, flowing through him when he made those statements about he doesn't know whether he's fast enough anymore, doesn't think he's good enough, wants to go on holiday, wants to retire the car early, you know. I think there was a lot of emotion in, and knowing that he was leaving the team also would have played into that as well. Anybody who's worked their notice at work will know exactly what I'm talking about, and the same does apply to Hamilton. He effectively spent the entire year last year working his notice at Mercedes. He knew he was going to leave in January. He knew before that even. Remember Charles Leclerc's press conference in, I don't even know what race it was, but one of the races in 2023, he said about, he was like, oh, so what are you, he was asked like, so what do you want in a teammate? Who do you want, you know, what kind of qualities do you want in a teammate? And Leclerc just went, hello, Lewis. He knew. He knew Lewis Hamilton was going to be his teammate at Ferrari in the near future. He knew. So this has been in the works for a long time. And I think it's a change of scenery. Again, anybody who's been in a dead-end job, anybody who's been doing the same job for a long time and not enjoying it, because let's be real here, right? He was not enjoying his time at Mercedes towards the end of last year. No doubt. I mean, yeah, there were moments, obviously. British Grand Prix, Belgian Grand Prix, fantastic. You know, Las Vegas, brilliant. Abu Dhabi, great drive. Qatar, Brazil, not so much. He was not enjoying himself on the whole, and that was plainly clear. And this change of scenery has relit the fire, you know, to kind of borrow Rosberg's phrase. And I know, because I've seen it in my comment sections. I know some people were like, oh, Hamilton crashed his car in testing. He's washed. He's useless. It's testing. If you're not pushing the limits of the car during testing, when are you going to push them? And we don't even know if it was a mechanical fault or a driver fault. We just know that he had some new pedal setup in the car, which might have contributed to it. I think Ferrari said there might have been a bump in the road that might have contributed to it. Who knows? It doesn't really matter, to be honest. As long as in Australia, he gets in that car and he performs and he does well. I'm not talking about winning. I'm talking about a good drive, you know? Being comparable to Charles Leclerc. Leclerc has been at Ferrari for 5 seasons. 6 full seasons. My apologies. 2019 to 2024 he's completed so far. So this is his 7th season at Ferrari. You know, it doesn't matter whether you're Lewis Hamilton or Lance Stroll. You know, it's going to be tough to overcome a driver. I mean, obviously, Stroll's not going to overcome a driver like Leclerc, but you know what I mean? It doesn't matter how good you are, but if you're going up against the guy who's been there for the years on end, it's a very hard thing to hit the ground running and beat them initially. It is. So, at the start of the season, I will be surprised if Hamilton is faster than Leclerc, but I'm not ruling it out. I don't expect him to be, but as the season progresses, like Rosberg says, as you know, the championship kind of evolves, I would very much expect Hamilton to be a real contender at that point. Not only to beat Leclerc, but also to potentially win that 8th World Championship. The thing that he has incredible self-belief to the point where he was hooked up. Well, watch the video if you've not seen it. He was hooked up to a lie detector by Sky Sports F1, and he got asked, are you going to leave Formula 1 after you make that 8th title? Is that your big goal? Is that what you're going to do? Is that why you're sticking around in F1? And he was like, yeah, I'm going to win that 8th title, and I'm not going to leave until I do it. And he believes it because he was telling the truth. The man was literally hooked up to a lie detector. But anyway, those are my thoughts. How do you expect Hamilton to get on this year? Who will come out on top? Leclerc or Hamilton at Ferrari? It's in the comments below. For much more content like this on the world of Formula 1, including news and opinion pieces, do keep it tuned here to the F1Chronicle.com. Like, share, comment, subscribe, of course, as always. And head over to Patreon if you want to become a patron and get some exclusive member benefits. As always, guys, go check those out for sure on this one. And yeah, see you very soon, guys. Have a good one.